Tuesday, June 23rd. We are just now leaving camp. We have another fairly long day ahead of us, I guess. We're probably going to try and go another 25 miles or so. If we do succeed in going another 25 miles or right around there, that'll put us just outside of Kennedy Meadows so that we can get there early tomorrow morning. The bugs were fairly bad last night, and they're continuing to be bad this morning, so we're actually almost just eating breakfast while on the trail, just grabbing some bars to munch on as we walk, because neither of us wanted to actually sit in camp with that many bugs and try and eat a breakfast. So bugs are one of the things that I'm actually almost a little bit worried about now as we're approaching Kennedy Meadows in the Sierras. I'm worried that the bugs might get a lot worse in the coming sections than they have been in the deserty sections. I don't know. So on the one hand, it's really great that we're getting to Kennedy Meadows. It feels sometimes like it's been forever, and that's one of the milestones that we really wanted to make. That's where we were hoping the hiking might really become really good and interesting. But on the other hand, there is some drawbacks, I guess, to getting to the Sierras. One of them being the bugs. The bugs get a lot worse. That could quickly become irritating. Other than that, there's also, I suppose, higher chances of storms, which I hate being rained on. And I don't know if the terrain will be a lot harder, and thus maybe it'll really affect our mileage. That would be less than ideal. Yeah, it might be harder to find places where the dog can hide due to all the state and national parks, and it might be less frequent between meetups with the sport vehicle, so if Willow does walk, she might have to try and walk longer sections. So all of that is some of the drawbacks to reaching Kennedy Meadows in the Sierras. But then again, it's still Kennedy Meadows in the Sierras. We're looking forward to that since like the start of the hike, really. So, yep, both good and bad there a bit, I guess. But yep, I believe we'll be hiking about 25 miles a day to reach just outside of Kennedy Meadows. Water's looking pretty good today. So far it's just been the bugs that have been an issue. We are probably about 4 or 5 miles out from Kennedy Meadows, so we're probably going to make it there today. But we found ourselves a river. This is probably, I don't know, maybe the first river we've seen since leaving San Jacinto. So yeah, kind of cool. When I first saw the river, we got really excited because we were like, yay, we're going to get some really cool, nice water. But it's actually surprising how warm that water is for a river. I mean, still reasonably cool, I suppose, but it's not half as cold as we would have expected. I don't know, maybe we're just spoiled by Montana rivers where they're all like snowmelt and stuff and really cool to drink, but this one is nowhere near that cool. I suppose it might be nicer to put your feet in and stuff because it won't like take your breath away, but yeah, not quite as nice to drink from. But it's still a river. And probably the first one we've seen for hundreds of miles. So we are within about half a mile of the turnoff to Kennedy Meadows. Yep, we're still near that river, I believe. Yeah. The view's okay, it's just not quite what I was expecting for Kennedy Meadows. Yeah, I don't know if it was just, I don't know, in my head or if I saw it on other videos or something. For some reason, I thought it would be more forested. Almost like you were walking out of a forest into a meadow and there were some buildings that were Kennedy Meadows. However, that does not seem like it's going to be the case.
We just entered Sequoia National Forest. This is what it looks like. And when I see a national forest, I was expecting trees. Then I remembered, I don't know what a sequoia is. Maybe a sequoia is a sagebrush. Maybe I just entered Sagebrush National Forest. I have no idea. It's California. Who knows? It's California's always got something to surprise you. So here we are at the general store. This is supposed to be the last stocking up place on Earth. No, before we get to through the Sierras. So supposedly they have everything here that a hiker could possibly need. I'm gonna buy a stove. Jerica might buy a shirt. She only brought the one. No, it looks pretty bad. They're supposed to have everything though. Shoes, they're gonna buy new shoes, I think. You know, the kind you get from the fancy hiking stores in town.
We are at Kennedy Meadows. This is like Grumpy Bear's Retreat or something, where we got breakfast. And then this is the view out from it. Over there is where we parked our vehicles. This is the front of that Grumpy Bear's Retreat. And then off over there, I don't think you can see it from here, is where the outfitters are. Things like Triple Crown Outfitters or something. And that's also near where we pitched our tents. So, yeah, as you can see there, that's the Triple Crown Outfitters, I believe, and you can see at least one tent there. Ours were pitched farther in those trees somewhere, but yep, those are the outfitters. I believe she's getting musher cream put on her paws, but the fan keeps the bugs off her face.
Oh, his name is that.
So it's probably, I don't know, 3 or 4 o'clock in the evening, and we're just now leaving Kennedy Meadows. We're hoping the dog can hike this section, but she was having a bit of issues with her feet an hour or so before we were going to start, so hopefully she'll continue doing good and not have more feet problems. I believe we plan to hike only 10 or 12 miles or so today before we camp. Then we'll probably hike another 20 or so tomorrow, and then another 10 or so the day after before we drop the dog off. We'll probably continue on that day, but we plan to only bring the dog for about 40 miles or so, and hopefully spread that out across 3 days so it's not too much for her. The scenery is pretty nice, and Kennedy Meadows is also a fairly nice place. That is probably where we met the largest grouping of hikers. There's a few groups that we were working on catching that I think we saw there. There's a group that calls themselves the Dead Boys, which we finally caught up there, and there was another hiker called Circus, which we had been working on catching, who is also there, so gotta finally put some faces to some names that we've been seeing in the logbooks and actually catch up with some of the people that we've been working on trying to catch up and pass. So that was good. Yeah, so far it's just been a good day. Nice views, not too hot. The dog gets to hike. So yep, good day. Okay, that's better. fixed my hip though. I think it was making it difficult to hike, talk, and breathe all at the same time. So Kennedy Meadows was pretty cool. The store was a good place to get good food, and their hiker's breakfast is, well, I'd recommend it. I'm not sure how much some of the others enjoyed it, but I definitely enjoyed it. The Outfitters was maybe a bit smaller than we expected, but they still did have a pretty good selection of basically everything we needed. I think maybe the only thing they were missing was stoves or something. Yeah, so they had a pretty good selection. We were able to get some spare water bags. We got some spare socks. Jerica purchased some new shoes that she seems pretty happy with. They had a decent selection of resupply food, although we didn't really have to get much of that because we had the sport vehicles. But yeah, it was definitely an interesting experience and a nice spot. You can camp there. They have bathrooms with running water. They have showers. I think they supposedly have laundry too, although we didn't take advantage of that. There's Wi-Fi. Some of it's free, some of it you have to pay for. Yep. So, I don't know. Went out of than quite what I was expecting from other people's videos and just from what I heard of it, but it's definitely a nice spot.
It's Wednesday, June 24th. We just today left Kennedy Meadows. We walked about 11 miles today. As you can see, I have Willow with me. She did really good today. It was a little hot when we first started out, but there was some shade and there was a stream. Willow jumped in it at least 3 times and got pretty wet and muddy, but she dried off good in the last couple of miles. Willow wasn't able to hike with us for about the last 135 miles. We had a really long section that was 80 miles with very limited water, so we didn't want to bring her. And then we had just a little over 50 miles left to Kennedy Meadows, which we wanted to get done in 2 long days. So she hasn't hiked with us for about 135 miles. After this section, we're worried that she won't be able to hike with us for a bit again because we'll be going into, I think, Kings Canyon National Park, and dogs aren't allowed on trails in national parks. So she did about 11 miles today. We hope she can do 20 tomorrow, and that'll leave somewhere between 10 and 15 for her to do on the 3rd day when she'll get picked up, and then hopefully after she's picked up we'll be able to continue on and make that a slightly longer day. I'm pretty excited to be in the Sierras. I enjoyed today so far. It's just starting to look a little more like mountains. We haven't had any hard climbs yet. We won't until after we drop the dog off again near Lone Pine, but then there's going to be some real elevation and some cool passes.